Hello, everyone. Cheers and salutations. My name is Kit Cabello, the host of Hard Lens Media, and right now, temporarily filling in as the host for Chicago Corner. Unfortunately, Jerry Vassilatos is still recovering. It's going to be quite some time before we see him captaining the ship known as Chicago Corner, but nonetheless, I will do the best I can to be a good host for this fantastic growing channel. And again, real quick, help us build this channel up because in 2023, we are going to be covering the Chicago municipal election cycle. This is where all the aldermanic candidates will be running. Maybe we'll have a whole bunch of mayoral candidates running as well. And this is going to be very important for our city because, as I've said before, once the people of Chicago step up and realize that they can actually bring in a better future, well, Chicago Corner is more than happy to be that independent media network to help inform the people about who's running for office and who's the best fit to really make sure that we get the city we deserve. Because, yeah, corporate media might smear Chicago as being violent, being corrupt, but the people can turn it around because Chicago is filled with good people, and I believe in this city. And all the way, by the way, asking Dana Fairbanks, yes, Jerry is fine. He's right now recovering from surgery, so he's okay. Jerry's alive and well and in one piece. He's just recovering from surgery. And it's going to be some time before he could be the captain of Chicago Corner. But I'm keeping the seat warm for him. And I'm hoping I'm doing the best I can because Jerry has been doing such a phenomenal job for Chicago Corner. So everyone, send your best to Jerry. He is recovering and he's doing just fine. In fact, he helped design today's show notes for today's show and also made our awesome thumbnail as well. So Jerry's still in the background, but he can't host, so I'm going to fill in for him because Jerry's been doing such a fantastic work, and I want to make sure that Chicago Corner is still growing. And again, Chicago Corner is live every Tuesday and Friday at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So with that being said, occasionally we might get some commercial breaks here and there for our awesome Chicago Corner merch. You know, my
Did somebody say commercial break?
Well, maybe so before we get started with our first segment. So, all right, go ahead, Pegleg.
Before we start this wonderful show, I would like you to all know that Chicago Corner is brought to you by Flavor Improving Mugs, the mugs that improve flavor.
Delicious and nutritious. Nutritious and delicious. There you go. All right. So shout out to the Chicago merch store. So always doing some good stuff for our network and helps us grow, by the way, as well. But with that being said, we need to get started with our first segment. And this story is going to be difficult to talk about, but it needs to be addressed. We need to have this conversation about what recently took place in Chinatown. But there's an update to this story. As again, it's still developing, and we want to make sure that, more importantly, because this article, there's actually an update to it that our colleague Jerry Vassilatos recently shared with me. So while we do have this article, here's the thing: there was a man who shot a 71-year-old in Chinatown, calmly fired 22 shots. Prosecutors say, Judge, this was an execution. So if we could just look at the first paragraph if we can. There we go. So the person who killed a 71-year-old man Tuesday in Chinatown calmly fired nearly 24 shots at the victim in an execution, the prosecutor and judge said. Alfonso Honier, 23, of Morgan Park, has been charged with first-degree murder. He was ordered held without bail during a hearing Thursday. Prosecutor said the gunman in the shooting was calm as he fired 22 shots at the victim, Woom Sing Ti, continuing even as the elderly man lay on the ground wounded. So there's actually an update to this story right now, even though we don't have it, but let's actually keep it on the title. So if we can scroll it up, Jerry Vassilatos was kind enough to give me the update to this story. So the man who was charged with murder of 71-year-old man in Chinatown was arrested within an hour of shooting, police say. So here's what's happening. A 23-year-old man has been charged with murder. Police call a tragic, brazen shooting of a 71-year-old man walking to the store in Chinatown this week. Alfonso Honier, 23, of Morgan Park, was charged Wednesday with first-degree murder, police said. Honier killed Woom Sing Ti. The shooting happened at around 12:30 p.m. afternoon Tuesday near Wentworth Avenue and 23rd Place, and it was caught on surveillance video, police said. The elderly gentleman was walking along the street when someone in a blue car pulled up. Chief of Detectives Brendan Dehan said At the news conference, the driver of the car, whom police said was Honyer, fired at Z several times, but did not hit him. Dehan said, "You could see how startled he is." Again, very difficult. What happened to this elderly man? Still in the car, the driver fired several times again, hitting him, who fell to the ground. The driver got out of the car, walked over to him, and shot him several more times. The driver then casually walked back to his car, drove away. Zine was taken to Stroger Hospital and pronounced dead. Superintendent David Brown and Dehan credited neighbors for helping officers find Hoyer in just a few minutes. The Chinatown Community Watch Group called the 9th District Commander Don Jerome within minutes of the shooting, Brown said. The Chinatown Chamber of Commerce immediately turned over critical surveillance video to help detectives get the license plate for the car. District officers then tracked the driver backed up in traffic on the Kennedy Expressway and arrested Hoyer. Officers found a gun with an extended magazine in the car. They help us bring this offender to justice, Brown said. Though the family is grieving for Mr. Z's tragic loss, we hope this arrest and charges that were brought bring them a measure of closure to know that the person responsible has been taken off the streets of Chicago. A motive remains unclear, Dehan said, as Hoyer made no statements to the police after he was arrested. Asked if police thought Z's murder could have been linked to recent unsolved shootings, Dehan said detectives are comparing notes to see if there are any connections. Detectives from the north side have already reached out to these detectives, and we're comparing everything we possibly can from those cases to this case or any other case that may appear to be a random act of violence. We don't know at this time, but we're definitely investigating that based on what happened here. The family of the victim told the Sun-Times he came to the United States from China 50 years ago, starting as a cook. He owned restaurants in suburban Dundee and Downers Grove before settling into retirement in Chinatown. Z's son told the paper his father had just finished having lunch with his wife at home and was going to the store to buy a newspaper when he was shot. Again, this is a very tragic loss. It's very difficult to find out why the shooter actually did this to this elderly gentleman. And clearly, there must be a further investigation into whether this will be related to any other case that's taking place. Unfortunately, in our city, there is violence. There is, unfortunately, brutality. But we should celebrate this person's life as well. He helped contribute. He owned restaurants. He came to this country 50 years ago. And unfortunately, through this heinous act, he lost his life. But the person responsible has been taken off the streets, but there must be a further investigation to what happened. Condolences to the family, and it's quite clear that if there is any kind of relation towards what happened to this elderly gentleman and to any others, I'm hoping that the police are able to solve all these cases and ensure that this violence does come to an end. So, unfortunately, we do have to start off Chicago Corner on a very sad note, but at least the perpetrator of this violent crime is gone. And that's something good we can all appreciate. With that being said, we're going to move on now to our next segment. Before we do, be sure to subscribe to Chicago Corner. We're live every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Tuesday and Friday at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And Chicago Corner is also building up our network so we can cover the municipal election cycle for 2023. So be sure to check it out. And more importantly, we're trying to make sure that the people of Chicago have a voice. I want to go ahead and read the chat. I'm going to give a shout out to everyone that's here joining us. We got Ware Pilgrim, Dana Fairbanks, E. Heller. We got Miguel H. Good old Miguel H. How are you doing, my friend? We got Jesse Jet, and we also got Love Tagore. I don't know why this individual did that crime that he did. Clearly, there's something wrong with him. And he's off the streets. Thankfully, the people of Chinatown, the community, was able to band together and get the surveillance video so that they can find him and bring him to justice. Little, thank you so much for joining us, and there we go. And Miguel H, doing good. Thanks, Kit. No problem, Miguel H. Keep on doing what you're doing, buddy. Glad to hear you. Glad to have you here with us. So, now let's move on now to our next story. Alderman to weigh in proposed settlement in Anita Young's lawsuit over a botched Chicago Police Department raid. So, this is a story that is still circulating because of how the Chicago Police Department screwed up. And again, you know, Anita Young, what happened to her was downright deplorable.
Hey,
So,
Kit,
yes, go ahead.
should we roll the dice and see if this video is playable?
Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's try it out.
Okay.
City Council committee will consider a settlement for the Chicago public at the center of a highly publicized wrongdoing. Anjanette Young was handcuffed.
Okay, there was no audio, but that was some of the footage of the police raid into her house. The City Council Finance Committee on Monday will consider a proposed settlement of the lawsuit against Anita Young filed against the city after she was left handcuffed while naked during a botched Chicago Police Department raid of her home in February of 2019. The agenda for Monday's Finance Committee meeting includes a proposed order authorizing the city's law department to execute a settlement agreement in Young's lawsuit, but does not include a dollar amount for the settlement. A spokesman for Mayor Lori Lightfoot office declined to immediately comment on the proposed settlement. The apparent settlement comes months after the settlement talks between Young's attorney and the city stalled. In March and then again in June, Young and her attorney, Keenan Salder, called out the city for dragging its feet on the case despite Lightfoot's public promises to quickly resolve the case. Salder said in a March interview that the city at the time had offered Young $0 to resolve this case still. I feel like I'm invisible to the mayor and the city, Young said in a previous interview. They continue to not see me as anyone who deserves to be treated fairly, to receive justice, to be heard. Again, what happened to her, the police raided her home, they handcuffed her and treated her like she was less than a human being. Watching the videos, especially even we apologize if the audio was not working, but the fact that she was there treated as she was should show you just exactly why she deserves some kind of settlement, a large settlement, in my opinion, from the Chicago Police Department for this botched raid and the utter humiliation that she had to go through. The city representatives, however, said at the time that they had made efforts to settle. In a motion filed in June, the city asked a judge to dismiss the case, arguing in their motion that Young's lawsuit failed to challenge the underlying validity of the search warrant and did not allege a legal wrong. Now it appears a settlement is close. Finance Committee Chair Alderman Scott Werschbach's office confirmed a proposed settlement is on the agenda for Monday's meeting, but a dollar amount for the settlement is not yet available as the committee is still waiting on a fully executed agreement. Word of the settlement comes a month after the city's Civilian Office of Police Accountability recommended termination and suspension for multiple officers for their role in the botched raid where police handcuffed the innocent, unclothed social worker in her home. The agency released the findings of its probe on November 10th, nearly 2 years after it began investigating the raid and how officers treated Anita Young the night of February 21st, 2019. So, again, the Civilian Office of Police Accountability recommended Officer Alan Arrigo, who obtained the warrant, receive a minimum 180-day suspension, up to including separation from the department. The agency also recommended two sergeants, Alex Wronski and Corey Petrarco, each received a minimum of 1 year suspension, up to and including separation from the department. Police Superintendent David Brown has already moved to terminate Walensky, and the others will likely face suspension, sources tell CBS 2. All the officers have a right to appeal any discipline. The unfortunate sequence of events leading to Anita Young's maltreatment began with Officer Alpargaro's misconduct in obtaining the warrant and the supervisors who failed to provide adequate oversight, the report said. The report also said that COPA considered the officer's lack of prior discipline, but said it is undeniable that Arguero is the most culpable for the harm that Young experienced, and the sergeants failed to effectively supervise his search warrant preparations. So continuing on, the police, so CBS 2 first interviewed and aired a story about Young in November of 2019. The reporting uncovered how, again, Alpargaro received a bad tip from a confidential informant and failed to verify it. Police then used that incorrect information to burst into Young's home, the wrong home. So according to the report, then the officer who then filed that warrant failed to conduct a proper investigation, and he and Wronski organized a team of more than a dozen officers to conduct the raid. The discipline recommended by COPA Wednesday could be the first time some of the officers involved are held accountable for what happened. Before I knew it, there was a swarm of police officers, Young said in the previous interview. They had these big guns, long guns with scopes and lights. I thought they were going to shoot me. But the harrowing images of young unclaws in tears and repeatedly telling officers they were in the wrong place was the linchpin. It sparked national outrage when CBS 2 aired the damning body camera video in December of 2020. So looking at this even further, when the media published the body-worn camera footage approximately 1 year later of the troubling images shook the nation, Coppola wrote in its report. The video revealed how the more than a dozen officers failed to quickly and fully cover Young's body as she stood naked and handcuffed. I can just remember crying and yelling, please let me put some clothes on. You have the wrong place, she said. I can see it all over again. I could see them walking around my house and feeling humiliated. The airing of the video led to months of fallout in City Hall and sharp criticism aimed at Mayor Lori Lightfoot after her law office tried to go to federal court to stop CBS 2 from airing the video. I just want to stop right here and address this. This is once again the utter hypocrisy of Mayor Lightfoot. She ran on change. She ran on reform. But obviously what we got is more of the same. This is once again a lack of accountability from Mayor Lori Lightfoot's office. And I will find it very curious if she's actually able to try and run again for 2023. There's a lot of scandals surrounding her administration. She has failed to follow through with a lot of her promises. She ran a campaign in which she was going to bring Chicago back to the people, but it's quite clear that we see nothing but hypocrisy and a true failure to follow through. So now more than ever, Mayor Lightfoot, what are you going to run on in 2023 at this point? In April, Coppola said it concluded its probe, which focused on how officers obtained the warrant on Young's home and how they treated her while there. The investigation involved more than 30 interviews across the police department, Cook County State's Attorney's Office, and Cook County Sheriff's Department. As a result, Coppola said it identified nearly 100 allegations of misconduct stemming from the actions of the officers on the raid. My concern is, what will they do about it? Young asked in April. Will they be outlined in a way that these officers will be held accountable? What are the consequences of these 100 allegations? Coppola's investigation was one of multiple probes into how the raid on Young's home was handled by police. The Chicago's Inspector General Office completed its investigation into the raid. The findings were sent to Lightfoot's office, which has a period of time to review and respond before the findings are made public. Former Inspector General Joe Ferguson said. Lightfoot also asked a former federal judge to conduct an outside investigation. Now, Lightfoot previously committed to resolving Young's lawsuit against the city. CBS 2 previously reported Lightfoot was criticized for publicly apologizing for what happened to Young, while her law department attempted to dismiss the case in court. What happened to Young fits into a systematic pattern of traumatic, wrongful raids at the homes of innocent Black and brown residents in Chicago, uncovered by CBS 2. Young's case spurred a key search warrant reforms and policy changes. Coppola echoed this pattern in its report, saying that the wrong raid on Young's home reveals problems far more pervasive than any individual incident of officer misconduct. The report also emphasized the lack of adequate training and supervision surrounding how officers use warrants and the disproportionate impact on people of color. Once again, showing lack of police accountability, police corruption, and abuse of power. This is our sick system that we have, and Lightfoot continues to turn a blind eye to the amount of misconduct that we are seeing, not only in City Hall, but in our police departments, but all over the city. And what happened to Anita Young was unjust. Watching those videos, and again, they are very disturbing to watch, she is a social worker. She's doing no harm to her community. She's helping out the people in the community. And what happens to her when she wants justice? Well, the city of Chicago, at least under Mayor Lightfoot's watch, is more than happy to turn a blind eye to her pain, towards the trauma that she went through. And at this point, we need new leadership. We need real leadership that's going to fight for the people in Chicago, not false promises. With that being said, we're going to move on now to our next story. We're going on to our next story now. But before we do, I think we should let everyone know, be sure to subscribe to Chicago Corner. And if you haven't had a chance to check out our merch store, be sure to check out Chicago Corner. It's the awesome good stuff.
Did somebody say merch store? Somebody did say merch store, right?
Yes, that is true.
Oh, that's excellent, because I was just about to say merch stores are the places where you can find flavor-improving mugs. The mugs that improve flavor, now available in adult sizes.
Ooh, that's quite cat fancy right there.
I don't know if they actually vary from the children's size mugs. They might just be, they might just be categorized under mug.
I see.
But these flavor improving mugs might also be psychic, so they might know if you need the adult mug or the children's mug.
Ah, all right. Well, there we go.
In
I would
in either case, they improve flavor.
flavor improving. We would never lie. So there we go. All right. So let's go ahead and move on to our next story. Before we do, Love Tagore, you are absolutely right. She was just a social worker. She was humiliated. She was horribly treated by the Chicago officers who were there on the scene. TrueDemocracyNow.org says how we are treated by the police is directly related to our voting decisions in the last election. I agree 100%. And, there was a problem with the 2019 Chicago election. We had a whole clown car of candidates. There were so many people running that I think the people of Chicago, when it came down to vote during the primary portion of the 2019 city election, no one knew who to vote for. And, it's kind of the fault of the election committees and also those who are playing the debates. I mean, a lot of Chicagoans didn't turn out to vote during the primary and general election part of 2019. There was low voter turnout. And sadly, when we have an ill-informed populace, unfortunately, we get lackluster politicians. And these politicians can lie to us, say that they're going to bring in change, and then don't deliver on a goddamn thing. That's why Chicago Corner is here, and we're going to be covering that election cycle and, more importantly, shining a light on Chicago politics and how we can bring in much-needed change to our city. So, moving on to our next story. Mayor Lightfoot is accused of abdicating responsibility for retail crime wave. Mayor Lightfoot was accused Thursday of abdicating responsibility for the retail crime wave sweeping Chicago and instead pressuring merchants to implement their own costly and unworkable security measures. Twice in the last month, and as recently as this week, Mayor Lightfoot urged Magnificent Mile merchants victimized repeatedly by smash-and-grab robbers to follow the lead of their counterparts in Milan, London, Paris, Rome, and along Hollywood's Rodeo Drive. She specifically mentioned security guards at the door, entrance cameras, merchandise either chained or roped to put behind glass, and customers being buzzed into stores. On Thursday, Illinois Retail Merchants Association President Rob Carr flatly rejected all of the mayor's ideas. He branded the suggestions as extraordinarily disheartening, misinformed, and false. Yet another example of how Lightfoot continues to point fingers and play the blame game. We also reported nearly a year ago on how Mayor Lightfoot is really, really sensitive to criticism, thin-skinned at the point. Mayor Lightfoot, the reason why the city is a mess is because of under your failed leadership and your failed promises. You're not instituting any real job programs. You're barely following through on protecting our communities from environmental racism and pollution. Clearly, there is a lack of accountability from your administration in regards to corruption in City Hall, but also in all the other services in the city. This is an example of Lightfoot's failure to really lead. Is she expecting all these merchants? Mind you, a lot of these merchants and small business owners are left still struggling after 2020. We cannot forget that our governments, be it at the city, state, or federal level, abandon a lot of working class communities, and small business owners are still struggling to make ends meet. Is Mayor Lightfoot expecting these small business owners to implement all these changes? Is the city going to help out? Chances are probably not. And that's what we can expect from Mayor Lightfoot. Nothing at this point. Some merchandise can be locked up, but not all of it. That's not how retail works. The consumer wants an experience. You can't have an experience if all the merchandise is locked up behind a counter or chained to a wall, Carr told Chicago Sun-Times. Do we really want every retailer having to decide whether or not they're going to buzz someone in? That's not how you do good business either. What kind of questions do they interrogate the customer with to try and decide whether to let someone in? That might work for a few extraordinarily small stores, but that is not going to work for the vast majority. Retail has to be open-facing to the consumer. We are not a factory that can be locked behind a gate. We are not City Hall or the Capitol that can have security officers with arresting authority at its doors. Carr was taken aback that Lightfoot, the first African-American female and openly gay person to serve as mayor, would promote a buzz-in requirement he claims would undoubtedly trigger charges of racial profiling. Again, that's a recipe for disaster too. There's no way that can work downtown or on the Magnificent Mile. It's just not going to happen. If you, for example, I've lived in Chicago all my life. If I saw something like that on State Street or Michigan Avenue or anywhere else in the downtown area of Chicago where it's just buzzed in, as these larger retail stores were doing that, it's automatically set for failure. And there's no way any retail business or small business owner would be able to do that and successfully still remain in business or even earn any kind of profit. Whatever kind of policy that is or how Mayor Lightfoot came up with it, it's completely asinine, in my opinion. Mayor Lightfoot should know better, but again, she offers nothing and will continue to do nothing. There's still lead in our drinking water, by the way. I know, off subject, but just something, you, our viewing audience, should know about. Do we really want that type of environment for our neighborhoods? Think about Little Village. Think about East Lakeview area. Think about all the retail quarters, because it's just not the Magnificent Mile. It's all those retail quarters that are impacted. We're getting screamed at for racial profiling, and furthermore, it would push more people to simply go online. Why would you go to a store if you can't touch, feel, and try on the merchandise? For the first time in his 27 years at the state's premier retail trade group, Carr said he is starting to see the impact of organized retail crime show up in reports to shareholders. Businesses are citing safety and crime as number one and number two on the list of factors that will determine whether they will remain viable, and if so, where their stores will be located. Carr argued that Chicago's future as a downtown business center and a magnet for conventions and tourism literally depends on how quickly the crisis is abated. Until safety is addressed and addressed persistently over the long term, we're going to have a problem getting 2.6 million people to commute back downtown, which is also part of the pandemic, but they're mentioning safety and resistance to come back to work. We're going to struggle to get 55 million tourists back to Chicago, Carr said. The biggest problem for all of us is that our leaders who need to sit down and work on it are pointing fingers at each other as opposed to working constructively with us. Also on Thursday, Carr urged the city council to amend Lightfoot's stalled sports betting ordinance to give all Chicago retailers a crack at opening a sports book on the premises. The ordinance limits sports betting to a downtown casino in or within a 5-block radius of the United Center, Soldier Field, Wrigley Field, Guaranteed Rate Field, and Wintrust Arena, and an off-track betting facility in the city, provided that no sports wagering is conducted at the OTB's affiliated horse racing track. Think a sports bar situation or a dining establishment that's tailored to more of a sports environment. That might be ideal for that type of setting, Carr said. We're overthinking it when we're going to have to limit it. It will limit itself. It doesn't fit for every establishment. It only fits for some. I have a hard time believing that a sit-down restaurant that doesn't have the TVs and sports vibe is going to offer sports betting. Carr acknowledged that the Chicago sports moguls will resist the competition. It would grow the revenue pie, he said. It all comes down to what revenue options the state and city want. Do they want to grow that, or do they want to limit it? So already we're seeing Lightfoot constantly fail in protecting small business owners. And think about these policies that she's trying to offer to a lot of these retail workers, to these retail establishments. They're nothing. It only adds more fuel to the fire. And if you go downtown, you clearly can see that a lot of these businesses are still implementing some security by putting, boards over their windows. It's still not enough. There's still a crime problem in our city, unfortunately. And Mayor Lightfoot and her administration, just like in 2020 and continuing on through 2021, she's more than happy of offering just words and nothing substantial to bail out the working class citizens of Chicago. We need new leadership. Lightfoot just doesn't have what it takes. She's completely sensitive to criticism. She has basically brought this city to a standstill, and we are stagnant. If we want to survive as a city, we need somebody who's actually going to bring in much needed change. So there we go. With that being said, I want to move on now to our next story. Before we do, TrueDemocracyNow.org says the Chicago coroner will make a difference in the next election. Well, I can actually say this too. When we were interviewing Chicago candidates for Hard Lens Media when Chicago Corner was a segment on Hard Lens Media. A lot of the aldermanic candidates that we interviewed actually won their seats. So, surprise, surprise, Chicago Corner can make the difference. So it's something that we're we could be a little bit arrogant about. We could be a little prideful about, because it seems like all the aldermanic candidates that were on our show won. So maybe there's something about Chicago Corner that very few people know. So if you don't got it, get it. If you don't get it, go figure it out.
I'm thinking maybe I gotta use that magic and run for the alderman of the Chocolate Milk Majority Ward that's going to be added in the next ward map.
You know what? Here's the thing. Pegleg, I'll make a bet with you, man. If they actually make a ward area that looks like a cow, I'll actually donate $20 to your campaign, okay?
Ooh, that sounds like a great deal. And also, I think if we could draw any word as the shape of a cow, it would probably make much more sense than the shapes they're currently drawing on those maps.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, Miguel H., don't think I forgot. Your homework assignment. You're going to make a jigsaw puzzle of the Chicago district maps. I know it's going to be very maddening. However you pull it off, buddy. Ball's in your court. There you go.
Or, I think there's another kind of ward map shape we could do, too. If we had a ward map shaped like flavor-improving mugs, that would be fantastic.
There you go. All right.
It would be the ward that improves flavor.
All right. There you go. All right. Awesome. By the way, we got something from Freddie Maldonado. Says, hiya, Kit. Looking good as usual. Thanks for what you do. Well, thank you, all of you, for supporting Chicago Corner. Again, filling in for Jerry Vacillatos, trying to do what I can. Love to Gore says, it's the mugs. There you go. Miguel H. says, I know it's going to be difficult. It's going to be so difficult. LOL. Well, hey, buddy, you got to make that jigsaw map. The maddening map of Chicago's district. True Democracy Now! Chicago Corner, the program that improves the government of Chicago.
Or at least the flavor of government.
Yeah, at least that too. I have hope. That's why I'm asking everyone, especially when you watch us on Hard Lens Media, to subscribe to Chicago Corner. I want to build this channel up so that we can actually cover some of the elections, some of the debates. It's going to be difficult, especially in this day and age of censorship and what's happening to a lot of journalists and whistleblowers and activists. But I believe the Chicago Corner can be what Chicago needs to actually bring in much needed change. So let's keep on building this channel up. And there's a lot of work we got to do. So we still have some time. We still got a whole year left to build up Chicago Corner, so it'll be in tip-top fighting shape for the 2023 city election. So with that being said, we're going to move on now to our next story. Chicago top cop says more cops will guard the downtown area this weekend. Obviously, it's the holidays. In response to wild Saturday night downtown last week that left a 12-year-old shot in the back, a CTS bus driver beaten, and 20 young people arrested for recklessness and disorderly conduct and battery, top cop David Brown announced plans to beef up weekend patrols for the holidays. So to our Chicago audience, please be safe downtown and wherever you are in the city. Unfortunately, yes, there is a problem of crime and violence in the city of Chicago. We can all help contribute to make sure that we keep an eye on each other and help our communities out. But please be safe during the holidays, and especially with this pandemic still happening, please be safe as well with that. Police officers had one of 2 regular days off canceled for this weekend as part of a plan to have more cops patrolling across the city in violent zones, retail quarters, CTA train platforms, and the central business district, including Michigan Avenue. Boosting the number of officers is part of a comprehensive plan geared at responding to large gatherings of young people at Millennium Park that authorities said are expected this weekend. Brown didn't offer details about how many additional officers will be deployed, but he said that there will be more aggressive efforts to make arrests at the first sign of criminal behavior. So I want to stop here and just address something. There is a problem in the city of Chicago where there's a lack of opportunity, lack of jobs. The city of Chicago actually has resources to help out struggling communities. We have the TIF funds. And if you haven't read Tom Tresser's book, Chicago's Not Broke, these TIF funds can be used to invest in our communities, can be invested into our schools, invest in job programs, get young people off the streets. But the mayor and previous mayoral administrations refuse to use the TIF funds. In fact, they use the TIF funds as their own personal slush funds for vanity projects in the downtown area of Chicago and more affluent areas of the city as well. The South and West Side areas could use these TIF funds, and think about how it could help out with young people in these communities. How many job programs that these TIF funds can create. We do have the resources. And think about it. If we're able to fund our communities and build our communities up, there won't be a need to have so many police officers on the streets. That way, it's not just concentrated just on the Michigan Avenue or the other larger retail areas of the city. The TIF funds can be used to help out communities, but we have a political system that's more than happy to keep this up and continue to turn a blind eye to the problem that there's lack of opportunities on the South and West Side areas of Chicago. And once again, it's putting everyone at risk. It's because of the lack of imagination from our political establishment here in the city. We need the TIF funds, and they need to be used. And that's why 2023 is going to be very important for this election cycle. We need to reform our city. I am going to move on now to our next story. And this is this is a story I don't want to report, but got to rip the Band-Aid off. Hey, Peg Leg, turns out Chicago, we're number one.
We did it! Hooray!
You didn't even know what we're number one for.
Oh, I know. Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
All right, everyone. Let's rip this Band-Aid off. Congratulations, we did it. We're number one. Chicago tops list of most corrupt city in the United States, reports say. Congratulations, Chicago. We did it. Woo, well done, city government. Wow, you're doing everything right. No wonder there's a recent crime wave and violence and corruption and lack of accountability. City government, you did it by not doing your jobs. Hooray for our incompetent leadership. Or actually, no, they're not incompetent. They know what they're doing because they're so corrupt, they know what they're doing. So a new report from the University of Illinois claims Chicago is the most corrupt city in the United States. The report is based on data from the Justice Department, which looked at a public corruption convictions between 1976 and 2019. During that time period, Chicago had nearly 1,800 convictions. That is more than Los Angeles, which had the second highest total. New York City, ranked as third. The report also found that Illinois is the third most corrupt state in the country. So we get the shameful bronze medal, Peg Leg.
Yeah, who's the second city now, Cabello?
Well, we're number one in city, corrupted city. Our state is number 3, so we get shameful bronze. There we go. Yeah, so there we go. Haha. The UIC professor and former alderman Dick Simpson joined WGN News Morning News on Monday to discuss the anti-corruption report he wrote, showing Chicago to be the most corrupt city in the United States. So yes, we are the most.
This
corrupt
is a
city.
lovely picture of him, and I know if I hit the play button, you're not going to hear it. So let's scroll down.
we will be working on that, but I think if we look at the bigger picture with Chicago,
or maybe that's it.
Yeah, that's about it right there for the article. But this is why, and I want to just focus on this segment right here. If we can just get back to our 2 videos right here. Look, if we just focus on the image right there, that's our city. There are good people that live in the city of Chicago. And our whole purpose of creating this channel, Chicago Corner, Heartlands Media, we're located in Chicago. Our studio, 99 Perspectives, in Chicago. Chicago Corner is going to be covering local Chicago politics, Chicago news, be it good or bad. But the whole purpose of this channel is also to be ready for 2023, the next city election. It's shameful that we're the most corrupt city. And this is why we want to encourage voters to turn out. We need people who are going to fight for this city, who actually love this city, and want to make sure that we root out the corruption and actually make sure that these politicians who let this happen are held accountable for their crimes, for their willingness to be corrupt and hurt the citizens of Chicago. We got to make sure that we bring real accountability in. And that's the purpose of Chicago Corner, to cover the stories that the corporate media won't cover, and at the same time to bring in elected officials that are actually going to fight for a better future. This is our home. And while, yes, corporate media will portray it as a violent war zone, there's no excuse saying that we can't turn things around, that we can't make it better. This is our home, and we're going to fight for it.
That was weird when it just took you completely off the screen like that. I don't know why it does that to us.
Well, nonetheless, there you go, Peg Leg. That's our home. That's our city. Most corrupt. And we could thank Mayor Lightfoot. You got to own this too. This is your responsibility too. So there we go.
Well, to be fair, Chicago got a pretty good head start before we got to wonderful Mayor Lightfoot.
That is true. That is true. Yeah. So we're number one though. So we got the world championship belt. We got the gold. We got the great gold. We got the heavyweight championship. But here's hoping that we can eventually get rid of that title. We are going to move on to our next segment. Before we do, Love to Gore says, you guys made me curious about Chicago. Oh, thank you so much. Well, there's a lot in our city. Our city has a robust history, and there's more to us than what Fox News reports. Yes, there is violence. Yes, there is corruption, but there's a lot of good people and a lot of good groups that are trying to bring in change into the city. And I think that they've been long overlooked, and that's the purpose of Chicago Corner, to also shine a light on the good as well. And Love to Gore says, I think Washington State is more corrupt. Just saying. Well, we've perfected feudalism here in the city of Chicago, so I think I could be a little arrogant here and say, yeah, we're number one for the time being. For the time being. All right, we are going to move on now to our final story, and I think it's a Christmas miracle story. Pegleg, the mystery of the stolen train container filled with Christmas toys solved. Now Chicagoans are filling it with gifts once again. So while we are arch rivals, Merry Christmas to you, my friend.
And a happy Christmas Hanukkah to you, Mr. Cabello.
All right. So in Inglewood, after almost 3 weeks, Dylan Williams has unraveled the mystery of who took a train container filled with Christmas presents for Southside kids, teens, and families. She's retrieved the container, but the gifts are gone, which is very sad. Whoever did that,
sad.
You are a deplorable being, and I hope the Krampus visits you very, very soon. Okay.
And how are they lifting that train container? That thing has to be extremely heavy.
Who knows how they pulled that off? And Williams is leaning on neighbors to help ensure people in need get a holiday gift they deserve. Williams, founder of Kids Corner, and Sharon Preston, founder of Flags on the Heart, spent months filling the 53-foot long container with gifts for kids in need, only to have some jag-off loser dude or people, whoever they are, steal the unit from an empty lot in Inglewood just before Thanksgiving. So whoever did that, you're a douchebag. Okay, there we go. I think it's fair enough to say that. You're a douchebag. Whoever stole those toys. Come on, really.
And that's just being nice.
Yeah, even the Grinch has more compassion than you. So there we go. Neighbors told Williams they'd seen someone a day before with the necessary equipment to move the large container, which also had $50,000 worth of coats, shoes, microwaves, and gardening tools inside for the 16th annual Adopt Your Block giveaway. Neighbors and well-wishers who saw the story in local media rallied to help the organizers replace the gifts, but until recently remained unclear who made off with the container and why. Enter Joseph Vaccaro, owner of Vaccaro Trucking. For over 20 years, Vaccaro Trucking has moved containers across the Midwest. Vaccaro said someone calls and asks for containers to be relocated, and they make it happen. His company moves anywhere from 50 to 100 containers a week, he said. So when a man called and asked to move his train container from the lot in Inglewood to Chicago Heights, nearly 30 miles away, Vaccaro didn't see a problem, he said. The man paid Vaccaro and his team $625 in cash, he said at a press conference on Thursday. The gentleman met us at a lot, and my driver followed him down to Chicago Heights and dropped the container, Vaccaro said. He paid us and we left. Then, like many others, he saw the news about the missing gifts. I saw a report on the news a few days later and that the container was missing, Vaccaro said. One of my drivers called me on Monday morning and said, Joe, I think I moved their container. What a horrifying feeling that must be. That is...
Well, this sounds like they're about 5 minutes away from figuring out who took the presents here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you can give a description of who this individual was, even if they were wearing a face mask. Maybe we'll be able to find out who this thief is, and then there'll be more presents for all the families that were in need of that stuff originally. So Vaccaro immediately went to Chicago police, who were investigating the case. He began to call the charity agencies he'd seen on the news one by one. He said, eventually reaching out to Preston. Spokespeople for Chicago police and Chicago Heights declined to comment. So Vaccaro said the unit was filled with gifts when his team initially dropped it off, but when Williams got to it, it was ransacked. Most of the presents were gone or thrown across the Chicago Heights yard. Williams and the man who paid to have the container removed both went to the police precinct. The man told officers he had the container donated to him in 2019 and placed in the community, and produced paperwork saying the container was his. Williams said Williams provided her paperwork from the CSX Railroad, the company that sold her the unit. The police told the man he had to get his items out of the container. It belonged to Williams. Williams declined to name the man, and she didn't know what happened to the missing gifts. Downright sad. I was heartbroken when I saw the stuff all around the area when he found it. Williams said, I didn't know how to feel, and then I'm standing there the whole day arguing, going back and forth with the police and the man, stating that he had the documentation. It was like a tennis match. She decided not to press charges, saying the man seemed apologetic, and she just wanted to focus on the fact people were already supporting her in the giveaway. So so this is an image of a look inside the container. Williams said the container is about 50% full with presents. So, yeah. I want to say this is a happy story, but this all could have been avoided. And sadly, at least on a good note, there's some accountability taking place. It's Christmas, she says. We're getting the toys. People are donating, and I got my container back, and some of my personal items was still in there. Williams said, I guess just having a heart. As the Adopt Your Block giveaway approaches, Williams hopes to once again fill the container with as many toys as possible, she said. Someone donated over 50 computers for the kids, she said. Someone else donated more than 2,000 books. Vaccaro gave the organization the $625 he was paid to move the container. So that's good on him, because I bet he was feeling terrible about that, and I bet he felt played too. So, I mean, I think we can all agree, at least he's helping out the community out. So let me continue on. So the container is about 50% full now, Williams said. We have senior citizens, single parents, and kids we're providing for, Preston said. We just want to make sure that they have a Christmas. Alina Warbigan, whose donations were stolen, said she's hoping to do more for the teenagers in the community to make their Christmas bigger and brighter. It's about a smile, she said. As long as we can put a smile on children's faces, I'll have a smile on mine. Williams said she's not worrying about what they don't have. She said she's focusing on what they do. I just can't spend the energy focusing on the negative because we only got a few days left now, Williams said. God is replenishing the things that were taken. The goal was to really get these kids toys for Christmas and some gifts for the families for Christmas and some gifts for the families. We just want to make sure we have enough to cover our 40 blocks. Local businesses are volunteering to help collect new donations for the gift giveaway. Drop-off sites for replacing the stolen gifts are U.S. Bank. These are the addresses right now. We got U.S. Bank, 815 West 63rd Street. We got Farley's House Music Store. We got Home Run Inn and so many others. Coat donations can be taken to 3 Burlington Coat Factory locations, 7 to 12 a.m. Sunday, Wednesday at 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Thursday, and 8 to 12 a.m. Friday and Saturday. And these are the addresses there as well. And you can find a link to their GoFundMe as well as their group page as well. So I guess you could call this a happy ending, but I personally wish that maybe this could have been avoided. But they're pushing forward. Pegleg, your thoughts?
I think it's a little crazy how easy it is to pick up the phone and ask somebody to move an entire crate container thing like that.
It's very interesting, and there wasn't any kind of real pushback. I mean, I guess it's one thing to say, if he showed the documentation, whether they were forged, it's quite clear that the moving company saw it and it somehow checked. And I bet the guy feels god awful for being played, and they did the right thing by saying, "Wait a minute, I think we took the wrong container." So it shows integrity on their part. I mean, they obviously were played.
Yeah, after the fact, unfortunately.
Yeah, after the fact. So, I mean, but they saw the story. Obviously, they took one of their trucks there. The truck driver saw it, and I'm pretty sure they all felt mortified, and they had to get to the bottom of who stole this or who was part of this. So, at least the organization is still back and running, and the community rallied. So this is a good story to end on. The community got back together, and they're helping out those that need it. Because let's face it, the problems of 2020 are still with us in 2021, and will probably follow us into 2022. And the only way we're going to get through this is by working together, and having a Merry Christmas, by the way.
And speaking of working together, we are doing. Let me update the banner here and take that werewolf propaganda off of there. We are doing a holiday fundraiser for the Night Ministry, and Jerry Vassilatos, our fearless leader, who was recently attacked by a werewolf and is in recovery, is now giving away, well, it's kind of like you buy a DVD of his award-winning movie that was a Lifetime original holiday movie called Solstice, and that money goes to the Night Ministry. I think it says, I could read the actual thing that he says on his promotion here. Enjoy a movie while helping make a difference for others this holiday season. Order a Blu-ray, DVD, soundtrack CD, or 27 by 40, that's pretty big, frameable one-sheet poster of Chicago Corner host Jerry Vassilatos' holiday drama Solstice by December 15th. That means you got 5 days, ladies and gentlemen. And all proceeds will be donated to the Night Ministry of Chicago for their ongoing efforts providing housing, healthcare, human connection to members of Chicago struggling with poverty or homelessness. All items will be autographed by the director. Ooh, he's going to sign them.
Oh, cat fancy right there.
That's nice. You can go and find this information for the ordering thing at the website at 99perspectives.tv/Chicago Corner. And it will bring you to this page that shows a wonderful picture of Jerry and his Solstice. And you click on the Solstice and it takes you to his webpage where you can buy that wonderful Blu-ray movie. And then you'll have it forever and you can watch it over and over and over again.
Make it a Christmas tradition. Come on.
That's the plan.
There you go.
In
So,
fact,
yes.
maybe even next year we'll try to show that in the theater, or maybe we'll do like an outdoor thing somewhere where everybody can come and watch it with us.
You know, that sounds like a plan for December of 2022. Let's make that happen. That's a good idea. We could take a theater and take it over Chicago style, like our unofficial saint Alphonse Capone. Not official, unofficial. So there we go.
We're number one.
We will be number one, and yeah, let's go ahead and try to do. That sounds like a really good idea. I'll be down for that. If we did took Chicago Corner, Hardlands Media takeovers a theater, or rent out a theater room, and we could watch Solstice. It'll be a fun time. So there we go. And by the way, Jerry, if you're watching this, hope you're recovering well, my friend. All the best to you. It's going to be some time before y'all see Jerry sitting back in the seat, but he will be back, and he is recovering well, and he sends all of you his best wishes. And so what really happened to Jerry Vassilatos, Tori Tagore? He's had some shoulder surgery, and right now he's recovering, and he won't be able to host a show, so I'll be filling in. So Jerry is fine. It's just he has to recover. We want Jerry at 100%.
He may call in from time to time just to pester us, but
yeah. So there we go.
But it's important that he takes the time to heal from that werewolf attack.
There you go. That sounds like a good idea. So everyone that's watching, Jerry is okay. It's just we want to make sure he gets plenty of time and rest to fully recover, because we're going to need him in 2023. Do we want a strong Jerry or a weak Jerry? We want a strong Jerry.
We want an extremely strong Jerry so he can help us promote flavor-improving mugs. The mugs that improve flavor.
There you go. And plus, don't worry, there was no werewolf that that attacked Jerry, but he sends his best. So there you go. No werewolf love to gore. Miguel H., don't forget your homework assignment. You're going to make a jigsaw map of the Chicago districts. Good luck to you, my friend. You will be graded thoroughly.
No werewolf that you know about.
There you go. All right. So with that being said, I want to thank my unofficial host, co-host, and my rival Peg Leg for joining me today. Not Hardlands Media. Chicago Corner is live every Tuesday and Friday at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and be sure to check out Hardlands Media as well every Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time on YouTube, Odyssey, and Rockfin. We are still pushing along, and the main goal of Chicago Corner is to build this channel up so we are ready for the 2023 city election. With that being said, take care, be safe, Chicago, and let's push forward to build a better city for the next generation.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.